It's bad.
So this is the program. Without the spiritual master, we cannot make any progress. No? Yes. And this is very important lesson we have to learn, because we are now trained to become independent, Actually, we are more independent on our mind than anything else. See? You follow?
Yes.
So because we are now, when you listen to your mind, then you get attracted to the mode of passionate ignorance. Correct? You're doing many things to satisfy your senses.
Yes, Prabhu.
So to change that, you need to get into the spiritual line. And that can be done only with the help of the spiritual master. So then we start hearing another set of instruction, that is the spiritual instruction. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
So the moment we hear more spiritual instruction and get our intelligence sharpened, then our material nonsense is finished, because we don't want to cater for the what we say, the betrayal of the mind,
Yes. I was reading in Karma Yoga and Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. It says not to just drop your job, is what I could gather. It's a gradual process.
Yes, no, we don't disrupt. We offer the result to Krishna to purify that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arjuna was told not to fight. He fought, but he fought for Krishna.
Yes.
You understand? So the whole idea is to become Krishna conscious, whatever you're doing. That's why Krishna said, what you eat, what you offer, all that you give away, all the austerities you perform, you do it as an offering to me. So that science to how to do that, we have to learn from the spiritual master. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So when you try to use your mind, that is detrimental, because the mind is always misleading us. Yes?
Yes.
And then we become, we become entangled.
Prabhu, this week I was reading about being unattached even to our children.
Can you read this thing?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, a person bereft of intelligence first falsely identifies himself with the material body and mind. And when such false knowledge arises within one's consciousness, material passion, the cause of great suffering, pervades the mind, which by nature is situated in goodness. Then the mind, contaminated by passion, becomes absorbed in making and changing many plans for material advancement. Thus, by constantly thinking of the modes of material nature, a foolish person is afflicted with unbearable material desires."
Prabhu, if we were to have a temple, or if we're to have a farm, isn't that still material desires, or it's not really because it's for Krishna?
It's because for Krishna, so it is purified.
Mm-hmm.
Anything done for Krishna is most purifying. Anything done for our material sense gratification is more contaminating.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You say here in this verse,
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is when I was reading this week, it was talking about unattachment to children. So even if you're in family life, then
you want
being
to read this?
unattached to children.
You want to read this?
The desire to gratify one's own senses is karma, lust. But the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. Yay! The revealed scriptures pure love as follows. Sarvata davansa rahatam satya api dvasma karnane yadbhava bandhanam sa prema parikrata. If there is ample reason for the dissolution of a conjugal relationship and yet such a dissolution does not take place, such a relationship of intimate love is called pure. The predominated gopis were bound to Krishna in such pure love. For them, there was no question of sexual love based on sense gratification. Their only engagement in life was to see Krishna happy in all respects, regardless of their own personal interests. They dedicated their souls only for the satisfaction of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. There was not the slightest tinge of sexual love between the gopis and Krishna. The author of Sri Chaitanya Karimatra asserts with authority that sexual love, that sexual love is a matter of personal sense enjoyment. All the regulative principles in the Vedas pertaining to desire for popularity, fatherhood, wealth, and so on are different phases of sense gratification. Acts of sense gratification may be performed under the cover of public welfare, nationalism, religion, altruism, ethical code, biblical codes, health directives, fruitive actions, bashfulness, tolerance. That's funny. I just have to wait 2 seconds. I can't see the screen. It's going to come back in a second. Sorry.
You read this already? Did you read all this?
I think she disappeared.
No. We just lost the screen.
Can someone help read?
I'll just start halfway up. Acts of sense gratification may be performed under the cover of public welfare, nationalism, religion, altruism, ethical codes, biblical codes, health directives, fruitive action, bashfulness, tolerance, personal discomfort, liberation from material bondage, progress, family affection, or fear of social ostracism, or legal punishment.
Apology. Yeah, sorry about that.
But all these categories are different subdivisions of the one substance, sense gratification. All such good acts are performed basically for one's own sense gratification. For no one can sacrifice his personal interest while discharging these much advertised moral and religious principles. But above all this is a transcendental stage in which one feels himself to be only an eternal servitor of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. All acts are performed in this one sense of servitude are called pure love of God, because they are performed for the absolute sense gratification of Sri Krishna. However, any act performed for the purpose of enjoying its fruits or results is an act of sense gratification. Such actions are visible sometimes in gross and sometimes in subtle forms.
So this is very important, no? When we try to can you read on?
The object of lust is only the enjoyment of one's own senses, but love caters to the enjoyment of Lord Krishna, and thus is very powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
Social customs, scriptural instructions, bodily demands, fruit of actions, shyness, patience, bodily pleasures, self-gratification, and a path of varnashram dhan, which is difficult to give up. The gopis have forsaken all these, along with their families, and suffered their relatives' punishment and scolding, all for the sake of serving the Lord Krishna. They render loving service to him for the sake of his enjoyment. That is called firm attachment to Lord Krishna. It is spotlessly pure, like a clean cloth that has no stain. The author, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, advises everyone to give up all engagement of sense gratification and, like the gopis, dovetail oneself with the will of the Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate instruction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. We should be prepared to do anything and everything to please the Lord, even at the risk of violating the Vedic principle or ethical laws. That is the standard of love of Godhead. Such activities in pure love of Godhead are as spotless as white as linen that has been completely washed. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur warns us in this connection that we should not mistakenly think that the idea of giving up everything implies renunciation of duties necessary in relation relation to the body and mind. Even such duties are not sense gratification if they are undertaken in the spirit of service to Krishna. Therefore, lust and love are quite different. Lust is like dense darkness, but love is like the bright sun.
Yes.
Yes.
So try to understand, when you go to Krishna, everything becomes purified. And when you go to Maya, then everything becomes contaminated. Yes.
Yes.
So when we try to do everything for our sense gratification, then we get completely bewildered, contaminated. We acquire all kind of bad qualities.
So that's the creepers, pulling out the bad creepers and watering the good creepers.
Yeah, that's something else, but pretty much. When you embrace Maya, you see here, can see this?
The illusory material nature attracts the minute living entity to embrace her, and as a result, he assumes forms composed of her qualities. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities and must undergo repeated deaths. You, however, avoid the material energy in the same way.
You can read on this. Huh? So therefore, you can see how if you embrace Maya, what will happen?
You lose connection with Krishna.
You lose all your spiritual qualities. Whatever you have, good, also gone, and must undergo repeated death. You understand?
Yes.
So it is not just that, okay, I go into Maya, so what? No, you get all bad qualities and you go to hell, no? Yes.
Yes.
I think it's fun, no? Sometimes spending time in hell is also good, no?
Well, only in comparison, so you know where you want to be.
Thus,
yes. Yeah, read.
Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell.
So there's a price to pay. Yes?
Yes.
So not that anything you can do whimsically, no?
If it was to have money to be able to serve Krishna and be able to spread Krishna consciousness.
You want to save money
to
for
humanity.
what? You want to what?
No, not to save money, to be able to have money to spread Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Krishna will give you money. Money belongs to Krishna.
That's Chaitanya.
So he can't hear. He's going to go.
His connection is not very good.
Do new devotees need to be given baby names or children before initiation? Was this done under Srila Prabhupada? Yeah, sometimes Prabhupada gave names to the children, but mostly parents do that responsibility. Parents usually give the names, and then when they get initiated, then the spiritual master give the names. Yes?
Yes. What's this for, Prabhu?
Early days, Prabhupada gave the names for the child. Everything was new for them, no? So Prabhupada had to initiate. They don't even know what names to choose anyway. Yes?
Yes.
So then as the society grew, then the responsibility was given to the parents. He gave only the spiritual name when they get initiated,
Yes.
which is correct. The spiritual master gives the name, and then there's another big phenomenon now. We see that they are given names, and they always add their karmi name on the name, Have you seen that?
Yes, bro.
This is actually not very good practice. Because once you're given a spiritual name, you are on the spiritual platform. So why you want to link yourself again into the material consciousness? Yes? So when you're still attached to your material body, then how you see there's a verse it says, give up all destination, correct? Sarva upadi vinirmuktam, tat paratvena nirmalam, in this verse. It says you should give up all kind of destination, and we are all living with destination. No? I am this, I am that. Correct? The whole world is living on names, no?
Yes.
Yes or not? So we are all attached. So when we are given spiritually, when we are brought to the spiritual circle, we are still attached to our material thing, then what does it mean? Correct? So that means you are still on the bodily platform. And if you are in the bodily platform, it says here,
Where is it?
I think it's 42 or what? Let me see. Yeah. Can you see this?
But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. But those who attach to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so.
Yes.
Yes.
So they are trying to maintain their bodily concept. So if you're going to keep at that, then where you will go?
By the dogs and jackals.
Yes. Understand? Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Our whole idea is to transcend the bodily platform. I think it's a big phenomenon now. They put their initiated name and then they add their karmi name. I don't know who started this program.
It's gone.
One foot in, one foot out.
Yeah. So in case you want to be eaten by some dogs and jackals and asses, no problem.
And they put their qualifications also next to it.
Yeah.
And then they put their material qualifications next to
Yeah,
it.
you can see here in this verse it says you should give up all
Maybe.
this kind of nonsense. I would say I am a kindergarten dropout. I failed all my life. I failed. This verse is very important. Sarva upadi vinir muktam tad paratvena nirmalam. Rishikena rishikeja sevanam bhakti ruchate. You want to read that?
Bhakti or devotion.
You're right.
Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designation, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord.
Purport. No purport. Huh? So you see how important it is that one give up all this kind of destination. Yes.
Yes.
That's probably.
So you see how important it is, you know. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to be, you know, he doesn't want to give up this attachment, this destination, then he is materially attached. Correct?
Yes, probably.
So when you are still having all these material desires, how to go to Krishna?
Not.
Especially you are glamoring for some position. They give all these cards, you know, PhD and this thing and that thing. They just want to show off their material qualification. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, who are you? So I am nobody, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not Vaishya, I'm not Sudra, I'm not nothing. Who are you then? I'm just simply a servant of the servant of Krishna. Yes?
Yes.
See how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced himself? Naham Vipro. Correct? And take out this verse for you. Says, I am not, because he is a high-class Brahmin, no? Because he's God himself, no? Correct?
Yes.
Naham Vipro. Where is verse? Let me take it out. So therefore, you see how our mind, you know, it all works on our consciousness. You know, if we are attached, then it comes out. Yes?
Yes.
Simple thing like this, you know, you can tell where the person is at. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's the problem, you know, because we are so much entangled in the material consciousness. So we are getting all wrapped up in this, no?
Yes, probably.
So we are all looking for positions, you know. Yes. Then
Yes.
if the person is, you know, he wants some respect, he wants so many things. It's all due to the attachment with the body.
Are you looking for the verses through the?
Yeah, Naham Vipro, where is it?
It's until 20.
Antilila, what?
20 something. Let me check.
Not here in the 20, Antilila. I'm having a class. Can you?
No, I can't. No, I got it.
Naham Vipro Naramat, something like that. I just can't find it now. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you know, I am not a Brahmin, I am not, you know, Vaishya, I am not Shudra, I am not sannyasi. Then what am I? I'm Gopi in Bharta Padakamalayu Das Das no Das, So you see how the Lord introduced himself as a, seven of the seven, of the seven of the gopis who are serving Krishna. So you see how the consciousness.
Bhagavatam, Madhya 1380.
Madhya?
Another
Yeah,
Brahma.
Madhya 1380, correct. Madhya 1830 is not even inside this book.
1380.
1380, no?
Yeah.
I think in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. So I can see here, it is listed here, who am I? So Naham Vipro, Na Cha Naramatir. See, so he says here, he doesn't have any destination. I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or a Sutra. No, am I Brahmachari, householder, Vanaprastha or Sannyas. I identify myself only, see this word, only, seven of the seven of the seven of the lotus feet of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Is like an ocean of nectar and is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He's always existing with brilliance. So this is the idea of our purpose, that we must identify ourselves as the seven of the seven of the seven of the seven of Krishna. Not that I am. What's your best university in Australia?
I don't know. You know already?
No university. I am from King's College, from Victoria, blah, 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 something.
Yeah.
So they all want to show off their expertise materially, but all this material thing, are all like decoration on dead body, We says here, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. This verse here. Bhagavad Bhakti. Yeah, here, 405. So here it says in 1975. You see here. See, this is what all about. Can you read?
For a person devoid of devotional service, birth in a great family or nation, knowledge of the revealed scriptures, performance of austerities and penance, and chanting of the Vedic mantras are all like ornaments on a dead body. Such ornaments simply serve the concocted pleasures of the general populace.
So you see here, all these things are some decoration on a dead body, Because when your body dies, what is all this position? Yes, all names, the whole thing is just existing on names. And this is the verse. Give me a minute. Let me find this verse. It says that, everything is existing on names only. I just saw this verse. You're reading the Bhagavatam. This whole world is just existing on names. That's all the material world. And everybody is hooked up onto that, the whole system. They study hard, get a
when
position.
When you say that, do you mean it's like they're just giving words to things that are all Krishna?
Is
Or
Yada
what do you mean
Shita
by
Eva Charashya?
Hmm?
5:12:8 Bhagavatam.
What is that again?
Srimad Bhagavatam 5:12:8. Sorry, Manji.
5:12:8, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's
Is that it?
2:20, maybe 2:18.
Or this is something that exists for name only.
Yeah.
can you someone explain that more to me, please? The name that it's just is it just words?
He's
So you
getting a
can
verse.
see here in this word, you can see
Who else but the gross
Uh-huh.
materialist will neglect such transcendental thought and take to the non-permanent names only, seeing the mass of people fallen in the river of suffering as consequences of accruing the result of their own work. So if they're putting names on things, and then if they're working only for their own sake, not for the sake of Krishna, is that right?
Yeah. Can see here again, in other words, the whole world is acting on this platform, you know. Nothing but names. This is spoken millions of years ago. That's what we all are, you know. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we are not this body. So to understand that itself requires, you know, can you read?
For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of the names. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing.
Yeah? That's what we are doing. You want to read the purport?
Bhagavad Dham, or the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam, is perfectly distinct from the way of fruitive activities, which are considered by devotees to be merely a waste of time. The whole universe, or for that matter, all material existence, is moving on as Jagat, simply for planning business to make one's position very comfortable or secure. Although everyone sees that this existence is neither comfortable nor secure, and can never become comfortable or secure at any stage of development. Those who are captivated by the illusory advancement of material civilization, following the way of phantasmagoria, are certainly madmen. The whole material creation is a jugglery of names only. In fact, it is nothing but a bewildering creation of matter like earth, water, and fire. The buildings, furniture, cars, bungalows, mills, factories, industries, peace, war, or even the highest perfection of material science, namely atomic energy and electronics, are all simply bewildering names of material elements with their concomitant reactions of the three modes. Since the devotees of the Lord knows them perfectly well, he is not interested in creating unwanted things for a situation which is not at all reality, but simply names of no more significance than the babble of sea waves.
So is that also saying like
Let us finish this first.
Yep.
The great kings, leaders, and soldiers fight with one another in order to perpetuate their names in history. They are forgotten in due course of time, and they make place for another era in history. But the devotees realize how much history and historical persons are useless products of flickering time. The fruitive worker aspires after a big fortune in the matter of wealth, women, and worldly adoration. But those who are fixed in perfect reality are not at all interested in such false things. For them, it is all a waste of time. Since every second of human life is important, an enlightened man should be very careful to utilize time very cautiously. 1 second of human life wasted in the vain of research of planning for happiness in the material world can never be replaced, even if one spends millions of gold coins. Therefore, the transcendentalist desiring freedom from the clutches of Maya, all the illusory activities of life, is warned herewith not to be captivated by the external features of fruitive actors, Human life is never meant for sense gratification, but for self-realization. Srimad Bhagavatam instructs us solely on this subject from the very beginning to the end. Human life is meant for self-realization.
Yes.
The civilization which aims at its utmost perfection never indulges in creating unwanted things, and such a perfect civilization prepares men only to accept the bare necessities of life or to follow the principles of the best use of a bad bargain. Our material bodies and our lives in that connection are bad bargains because a living entity is actually spirit, and spiritual advancement of the living entity is absolutely necessary. Human life is intended for the realization of this important factor, when one should not act, and one should act accordingly, accepting only the bare necessities of life and depending more on God's gifts without diversion of human energy for any other purpose, such as being mad for material enjoyment. The materialistic advancement of civilization is called the civilization of the demons, which ultimately ends in wars and scarcity. The transcendentalist is specifically warned herewith to be fixed in mind, so that even if there is difficulty in plain living and high thinking, he will not budge even from his stark determination. For a transcendentalist, it is a suicidal policy to be intimately in touch with the sense gratifiers of the world, because such a policy will frustrate the ultimate gain of life. Shukadev Goswami met Maharaj Parikshit when the latter felt unnecessary for such a meeting. It is a duty of the transcendentalist to help persons who desire real salvation and to support the cause of salvation. One might note that Shukadev Goswami never met Maharaj Parikshit while he was ruling as a great king. For a transcendentalist, the mode activities is explained in next sloka. Does someone else like to read?
One who identifies himself as the inert body composed of mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image or the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with worships, or even visits those who are wise in the spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass.
Yes.
Yes.
True intelligence is shown by one's freedom from false identification of the self, as stated in the Brahspati Samhita. Ajnata Bhagavad Dharma Mantra Vijnana Samvida Narastago Kara Jinna Apibu Pala Pandita. Men who do not know the principles of devotional service to the Supreme Lord should be known as cows and asses, even if they are expert in technically analyzing Vedic mantras and are adored by world leaders. An imperfect Vaishnava, advancing towards the second-class platform, identifies himself with the sages who have established the true spiritual path, even while he still may have some inferior material attachments to body, family, and so on. Such a devotee of the Lord is not a foolish cow or stubborn ass like the majority of materialists, but most excellent is the Vaishnava who have gained the special mercy of the Lord and broken free from the bondage of illusionary attachments altogether. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, the words Boma Idyadi, who thinks an image made of earth is worshipable, refer not to the deity form of the Supreme Lord in his temple, but to deities of demigods, in the words Yatirtha Buddhi Salil, who sees a place of pilgrimage is as merely the water there, refers not to the sacred rivers like the Ganges or the Yamuna, but to lesser rivers.
So you can see if anyone who is thinking in terms of his bodily attachment is no better than a cow and an ass. That's why it's very important to understand that we cannot kind of give this kind of a, come to this kind of a consciousness, trying to identify with the body. Yes. The moment we say I and mine, then we are fallen. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, bro.
This I and my platform is very whimsical,
This one?
Yeah, give me a minute. You can read this.
O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma, because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presents his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifest as the pure self. The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the misconception of mine is very prominent. In the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mine is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs who fight with one another with the same misconception of mine. In the lower stage of human life, the misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stages of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mine or transformed into I am or I am all. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors, but the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is pure consciousness, and all the Vedic literature teaches us this conception of life. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mine. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literature to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every aspect, every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately, the living entity is subordinate to the Lord, and he is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord therefore asked the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to this supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living been equal in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future, even accepting that in the future one will be as good as a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being. Then why is one now under the control of material nature. The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up the misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service and becoming firmly situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life. But if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, but one should be constitutionally situated in glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servitor of the Lord. In his conditional life, the living entity is the servant of this illusionary Maya, and in his liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. To become untinged by the mode of material nature in the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. As long as one is a servant of mental concoctions, one cannot be completely freed from the disease of I and my.
Yeah, someone can read.
You want to read, Peter?
The supreme truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is the controller of that energy. The relative truths are apt to be engrossed in the illusory energy. The best purpose is served, however, when one is directly facing the supreme truth, as when one faces the sun. The sun overhead in the sky is full of light, but when the sun is not visible, not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusions, and one who is not so is in the darkness of illusory Maya. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this as follows. So the science of Bhakti Yoga, of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees, shall be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by misconceptions of I and mine. The Karnis are fond of the conception of mine. The jhanas are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine. And Srila Vyasadeva transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position, where there is no longer any influence of mind or the material energy. In conditioned life, the living energy is subjected to the influence of time and the dream of past, present, and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by speculating about becoming Vasudeva, or Supreme Lord, in the future by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego. But the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept Lord Vasudeva as a supreme in everything, and the best perfection in the culturing knowledge is to surrender unto him because he is the source of everything. Only in that conception can one get rid of the misconception of I and mine. Both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vyasadeva has specifically contributed to the illusion living entities, the science of God and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great sign.
Yes, she's understood this purport.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you try to kind of, not accept, then you'll be covered by Maya. That's how you talk, you will be thinking. The illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of mental nature, the engaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. This is going on. Yes? So therefore, when spiritually he gets a new name, then he should just understand that is not the body. That's the main idea. Yeah, I'm servant of God. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
But you are servant of a God with a material destination. How does that work? You cannot go to God with anything material. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Understand? That's why it says here, in this verse, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva adbhut vijanatah tar tatra ko moha kaha soka evatma anupashyatah. When one who always sees all living entity as spiritual sparks in quality, one with the Lord. When everyone sees himself as living entity, as spiritual spark, in quality one with the Lord, become true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Is this point? Except for the Madhyama and Uttama Adhikari discussed above, no one can see the spiritual position of the living being. See this point here? So it is not some common platform to identify, not to identify with the body. It's an elevated position to know that you're not the body, A Madhyama Adhikari is higher, not a Kanistha, A Kanistha Adhikari is always seeing in terms of his me and my, It's got material, what we say, conditioning. Yes. Madhya means, the Kanistha means third class devotee, And Madhyama means second class devotee. And of course, Uttama means the topmost devotee. So there are three classes of devotee, You can see here. So try to understand, spiritual life is not some joke, Can you read this?
Intermediate second class devotee shows love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is friendly to all the devotees, is very merciful to neophytes and ignorant people, and neglects those who are envious of devotional service.
So the first class devotee, can you read this also?
A person advanced in devotional service sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, and understands that all things are situated in him.
But it's the first class devotee, he sees God in the heart of everybody along with the living entity. So he is not envious, he does not identify with the body. Second class, he makes difference, he sees the Lord, he loves the Lord. He's friendly to all devotees. He's merciful to the neophyte by giving them spiritual guidance, instruction. And to those who are envious, he neglects them, So, but the third class devotee is like this. Can you read?
A Prakrita Bhakta, or materialistic devotee, does not purposefully study the Sastra and try to understand an actual standard of pure devotional service. Consequently, he does not show proper respect to advanced devotees. He may, however, follow the regular principles learned from his spiritual master or from his family who worships the deity. He is to be considered on the material platform, although he is trying to advance in devotional service. Such a person is a Bhakta Praya, a neophyte devotee, or Bhakta Bhagnavas, for he is a little enlightened by Vaishnava philosophy. This verse is also from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that no one who has full love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who maintains a good friendship with the Lord's devotees is always callous to those who envy Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Such a person is to be considered an intermediate devotee. He becomes a first-class devotee when, in the course of advancing devotional service, he feels an intimate relationship with all living entities, seeing them as part and parcel of the Supreme Person.
So this is how a person is classified, first class, second class, third class. So a third class devotee is in a very, what we say, precarious position because he still have got material desires. That's why it's called Bhakta Praya, You understand? So he does not have knowledge of the scriptures. He does not understand his actual position in devotional service. And neither he shows proper etiquette and proper respect to the advanced devotees. You understand? So he is considered to be on the material platform. So he is always identifying with the material body. Understand? So a third class person can fall down, They don't like this, they give up, they like something else, they go there, They're very unsteady because of identifying with the material body. You understand? As we read, the me and my platform. You understand this point?
Yes.
Therefore, in order to overcome this point, we need to have the neophyte devotee associate with at least the first class devotee. That way they will make advancement. Yes?
Yes.
But if he doesn't want to, then that's going to be a problem. Right? Yes?
Yes.
So therefore, this is the whole science. You want to read this?
A devotee is considered superlative or superior according to his attachment and love. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the following symptoms have been given. Sri Bhakti Vinoda Thakura has stated that if one has developed faith in Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered an eligible candidate for further advancement in Krishna consciousness. Thus, who have faith are divided into three categories: Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishta. First class, second, and neophyte. A first class devotee has firm conviction in the revealed scriptures and is expert in arguing according to the sastras. He is firmly convinced of the science of Krishna consciousness. The Madhyama Adhikari, or second class devotee, has firm conviction in Krishna consciousness, but he cannot support his conviction by citing sastric references. The neophyte devotee does not yet have firm faith. In this way, the devotees are typed. The standard of devotion is also categorized in the same way. A neophyte believes that only love of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is very good, but he may not know the basis of pure Krishna consciousness or how one can become a perfect devotee. Sometimes in the heart of a neophyte, there is attraction for karma jhana yoga. When he is free and transcendental to mixed devotional activities, he becomes a second-class devotee. When he becomes expert in logic and refers to the sastras, he becomes a first-class devotee. The devotees are also described as positive, comparative, and superlative in terms of their love and attachment for Krishna. It should be understood that a Madhyama Adhikari is a second-class devotee, is fully convinced of Krishna consciousness but cannot support his conviction with sastric reference. A neophyte may fall down by association with non-devotees because he is not firmly convinced and strongly situated. The second-class devotee, even though he cannot support his position with sastric reference, can gradually become a first-class devotee by studying the sastras and associating with the first-class devotee. However, if a second-class devotee does not advance himself by associating with first-class devotees, he makes no progress. There is no possibility that a first-class devotee will fall down, even though he may mix with non-devotees to preach. Conviction and faith gradually increase to make one an Uttama Adhikari, a first-class devotee.
So, okay, I guess you understand this.
Yes.
Any other questions on this?
No, Prabhu.
Which book and who wrote this? Where's this coming from?
This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can
Which
show him
is-
you can show him the book, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, you can show him. This is advanced study, you know. You are reading the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
After that, you have to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, the book spoken about Krishna. Now you are reading the book spoken by Krishna called the Bhagavad Gita. Then you study the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is more advanced study. It is book spoken about Krishna. And then you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how to become a devotee. This is postgraduate study. Yeah? So there's a lifetime of knowledge to acquire.
I
Yes.
thought the Bhagavad Gita alone would be a lifetime of study.
Yeah, you see, so how much we have to go?
Hmm.
See,
I've read it, I'm
nevertheless,
starting again.
yeah, you have to keep reading, otherwise you will never get the strength, you know. You have to hear it again and again. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Every time you're coming, I think we are doing this class for how long now? 3
More than
months,
a
4
half.
months?
Week,
Huh?
I guess.
Huh? How much is that? Every time you come, you learn something new, is it not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hmm? So this is what knowledge is. There's no, you know what we say, saturation point, you know. It is
But the
timeless.
Bhagavad Gita says that the knowledge will come through devotion, not necessarily through study.
But you
Yes, it's a
understand
fact. It is a
devotion
fact. It's
through
not coming
study.
from study because you study it like a bookworm. You'll never realize this. It has to be done coupled with devotional service. Understand? When you do this thing together with devotional service, then that knowledge become effective. Otherwise, simply just hearing this, it is. It doesn't serve its purpose, you know. This is a verse here, it shows devotional service must be done with knowledge must be acquired with devotional service. Otherwise, knowledge itself is of no use. Yes?
Yes.
Thing is 31. Yes. See here, it says here in this verse. You want to
Shri
read
Prabhupada.
this? Let Peter read.
The personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me as described in the scriptures is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully.
So you see, this is how it is to be realized with devotional service. But if you're just reading like, you know, a kind of a book, then it's not going to be very effective. You understand? That's why you must chant. Are you chanting?
Yes.
Very good. You're following the 4 principles.
What are the 4 principles?
No meat eating, no fish eating, no onion, no garlic, no coffee, no tea, intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. These are the 4
No
principles.
mushrooms.
Mushrooms and chocolate. So if you follow this and chant 16 rounds a day, then you are actually performing devotional service. You understand? It's, I mean, gradually, now you're beginning, correct? You're reading Bhagavad Gita and you're getting, some progress. So eventually you will make more progress when you follow strictly the devotional practices.
Yes.
Takes time, little time, gradually. You keep
Yes.
associating with the devotees, then you make a lot of advancement.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's not a whimsical process, Yes, here.
One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering.
Can you
Yes.
answer the question I asked before about the non-attachment to children? I think it makes sense, but that was just something that interested me this week when I was reading.
Not attached to what? Children.
Non-attachment to children.
Not attachment to anything. Why choose children?
I know
But
that
if you
was
can bring the
scripture that I
children,
read.
but if you, while you are with the children, if we can remember Krishna's childhood pastime, that is good.
Yep.
Everything can be dovetailed to Krishna consciousness. And that is the
Mhm.
secret, You understand? All you
Yes.
do, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer. So you do it as an offering to me. So if you bring all that into Krishna consciousness, then your life is successful.
And then even if we're trying to spread Krishna consciousness, but we're not to preach to people who are not open to it.
Yeah, we don't preach to the faithless, but that doesn't mean that we should not preach.
So just offer them prasadam, but if they come to us and ask questions, we can answer.
Anyway, if they are, a little bit intelligent to listen to philosophy, you can talk to them. Depends on each person, Some people are not willing to hear, so you give them prasadam.
Mm-hmm.
If they are willing to hear, then why not talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Accordingly, you
Yes.
have to make the judgment, huh?
Yes.
So any other questions? Is that okay, Mr. Patrick? Peter or Patrick?
Peter.
Peter.
Peter, huh?
Peter.
Sorry, even the names I get it wrong, is it?
That's all right. No problem.
In the world of
Thank
names.
you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry I was late and it got interrupted, but I'll be on time next time.
So, right, so I guess time to say goodbye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I hope you learned something today.
Definitely.
Eh?
Hi, Prabhu. I was not really present. My connection keeps cutting out here.
Yeah, this is the material world. We keep cutting off from Krishna all the time anyway.
So these classes, Prabhu, that you're recording, where do you post them up for us to?
On the YouTube,
Oh, it is
no?
on YouTube. I couldn't find it before.
Okay, no, I will send you all the links if you contact Radhika and ask her.
Okay.
You know Radhika Saki, right? She does the posting anyway, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So she can post all these videos to you. I think these are very important videos that you can learn some things,
Mm.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I hope you get some good realization. Birdie, what's your opinion?
Another great class.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu.
What about Peter?
Yeah, I'm just hanging around, letting it rub off, making the effort.
Very good. Do you find it helping you?
Yeah, I learn something every time. Yes, yes.
So try to bring some more people, huh? That time also benefit. I'm sure in Australia there are more than 5 of you, right?
There is. Jenny will be back next week.
Daniel, huh?
In general, I think.
Jenny.
Dennis, huh? Or Jenny, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So try to bring a friend or try to bring somebody, huh? At least bring your wife also if it's possible. Or if you can share the video with the others, that's also very, of course it's a long class. I don't know how long they will listen, but it's all very informative,
Yes, sir.
Thank
Okay,
you,
then.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, all glories to
Hare
Prabhupada.